I've spent a lot of time going over the impact that Bill Hayes had on my life. As he passed away this last April, I thought about his children, Robin, Curtis, and Janica, Dale and Joe, and also my close friends, his grandchildren, Chad, Derek, and Casey. Say what up to Cody Briggs as well. It was early summer 1992, and I had just turned 17. My dad saw me kicking up my feet and couldn't stand the sight. He handed me a business card for Sports Warehouse and said, "Go see Bill Hayes." I showed up at the warehouse a couple of days later. I met Mr. Hayes, the store owner. By his side was a ferocious chihuahua named Buddy. Bill asked me, "You know anything about boots and waders?" I said something stupid like, "Not really. I love sports and I write for the school newspaper." I drove home thinking it didn't go well. The next morning, I got a call from store manager Dale Smith, and he said, "How's Friday and Saturday, 9:30 to 6:30 sound?" My dad clearly had had a favor come through on this one. My first impressions of Bill. Bill Hayes was the first person I ever met who felt like a celebrity. If he walked into a room, you knew it. He was charismatic. He had presence. Bill would stop in his tracks, look you up and down, say something engaging and funny, then only to march away with a tiny dog following him like Gene Hackman in Crimson Tide. Did having the status of a boss help? Sure it did. But more than that, he had swagger. It was fueled by ambition. It was led by social skills. Hayes just didn't have bark. He had bite. As employees, I think we all had an appropriate fear of Bill. The first time he complimented me, I was bringing in a cart from the parking lot after a big sale. Bill was up on the balcony and shouted, "Way to go, Jazer the Razor!" His validation was like a warm blanket of electricity to me. Years later in that store, I became entitled and lazy. In this era, I was driven to not let Mr. Hayes down. He made me want to hustle. A short time later, Bill was the first person to start calling me Jaybird. Some of the sayings I remember hearing from him before hearing it from any other human were, "The guy's so fun, it's like watching paint dry." "Help me help you." One morning before inventory, he said, "All hands on deck." He had this saying of "Jesus woo" that his daughter Robin would also say a lot. Letting him down. I took back a used porta potty. Apparently, we were not supposed to take back used porta potties. I'm up in the office having to explain myself. I said, "He said it was broken. He's a great customer." And Bill goes, "I don't care if it was Jesus Christ or Joe Montana. We don't do used toilets, son." While inappropriate, especially by today's standards, the room busted up laughing. He was using edgy humor as my punishment. Bill was a social magnet. Steve McCandless, Bruce Childs, Stan Oakey, they used to tell me stories about what a crazy good salesman Bill was. He seemed to know a ton of athletes and Utah County folks. I had this teacher in high school named Mr. Kitchen. He was the driving instructor, former athlete at American Fork, and he was the most frightening man ever. Well, one day I see him come into Sportsman's Warehouse, and I'm thinking, he's on my terms here. High school's over. I'm going to go check it out. Like, "What you doing here, Mr. Kitchen?" He said, "I like to fish, and I know Bill Hayes." And I said, "Oh, cool." So he asked me to go get Bill. I go crush some boxes and come back. Here's Bill sticking his finger in Mr. Kitchen's belly button. Mr. Kitchen is red, warm, engaging, laughing. I just couldn't believe what I was looking at. About half an hour later, Mr. Kitchen's walking out of the door, and he stopped me and said, "Hey, my name's Paul. Any friend of Bill Hayes is a friend of mine." Retail hotshots from across the valley would show up and want to just hang out and drink coffee with Bill. His popularity among customers was almost a problem we would have to navigate as a staff. I think it's when he was building the store, he was giving out tons of discounts. And once the store started operating, he kind of had to back off that, of course. I was getting off a freeway exit one day, and a yellow bumper sticker in front of me read, "I'm friends with Bill Hayes, Midvale, Utah." I immediately told Bill. He lowered his glasses, shook his head, implying I was wrong, and said, "Sell something, boy." Sell, sell, sell. $10 for a penny. Costco was next door to our now named Sportsman's Warehouse. We were there constantly for the easy to grab food. Bill and I were headed over at the same time. I picked up a random penny on the sidewalk. He stopped me while seeming impressed. He handed me $10 and started giving me lessons about not looking past small things like that. Hayes noted how cheap his shoes were to make another point about not wasting. I've never left a penny on the ground since. The customer lost. Management had gone out of their way to help an angry customer, but he wasn't satisfied. He demanded Bill look over the ledge. Dude goes, "I'm educated and I'm going to tell everyone I know not to shop here." Bill said without hesitation, "It's like sticking your finger in the ocean, pal." Liz Tomich and I used to take his grandson Derek to Judge Memorial football games, and we'd hang out. And one weekend, Derek and his family were staying at Bill's. I think they were in the middle of a move or something. So we were going to return Derek that night to Bill's house. It was maybe 11:10 p.m. or something like that. And Derek's like, "I want to hang out all night." Liz instantly goes, "No, you're precious cargo." No, it's not that he wasn't precious cargo when we were bringing him home to Robin and Dale, his parents. But under the assignment scope of Bill, things were just to be taken extra serious. This next section is called The Grind. After a busy Saturday, I walked up to Bill and said, "The sounds of those cash registers must feel amazing." His shoulders dropped and he said, "It's a constant pain in my ass." I was thinking about his victory. He understood and lived the sacrifice it took to get that good. A ride to the mall. We had just closed the store. Bill needed a ride to 106 South where his wife was. It was exciting enough taking a ride with the boss man on the freeway. The next thing I know, Chihuahua Buddy is on my right shoulder like we've been best friends for years. I was pretty damn nervous. I can see Bill giggling with a toothpick in his mouth. Buddy liking me was probably the real seal of approval. Being a Bill Hayes guy, or in Janice Hales Erickson or Shelley Aston Swain's case, a Bill Hayes girl. It was being in that circle of people that broke through Hayes' intimidating exterior. Maybe his slight favorites in an unofficial way. The people he could count on. The ones he could be harsh back and forth with while not making it personal. Those that he could police their own slack well. He gave me liberties on the store loudspeaker when I lost a bad bet to everybody in the NBA in 1994. He would say casual things over the microphone like, "Jaybird, your pizza is here, again." Or, "DD Corradini, B 98.7. Or, .7, Arrow 103.5. Watch those hair dogs. Bill made me the catwalk manager of our already awkward security on the balcony. Not everyone could talk to him the way Jeff Back, Hefe, could. I can see Hayes shaking his head in loving disgust at Ryan Zabriskie dancing in front of the cashiers, or Levi Sorensen telling some crazy story. It was a business, but the Hayes and Smiths family made that store with cement floors on 7200 and South feel more like family. I used to look up and smirk at Stephen Coffey, Rooster, and Paul Gill looking over the edge of the store from Bill's office. Ironic. I became one of those people. Ever heard the phrase in sports, "a Bill Parcells guy"? Well, I was a Bill Hayes guy. His wife's funeral. I remember some things about the day the Hayes family honored their wife and mother, Phyllis. Janica gave a poised speech that's inspired me to this day. They played the song "Love Me" by Colin Ray. On a windy hill in Lehi, Utah, I let Bill know how he made a difference in my life. I knew I had to talk to this hard man in the softest of moments. I told him all of what I'm sharing today. The last time I saw him was maybe 15, 17 years ago. I saw him at the airport, 6 a.m. with his wife, Joyce. It's a random, cool memory. We had some quality laughs in our usual sports conversation. Was Bill a layered, complicated, even flawed person? I only knew him on the level that I knew him. I saw him through the eyes of youth meets a dynamic authority figure. As he walked back towards his air gate, Here's Airline Gate. He just strolled with peace. There was no fanfare, no picture, no autographs. It's as if he was just an average person, but not to me. I'm so proud to be a Bill Hayes guy. You know, a lot of times in life we need distance and we need perspective to see the impact people had in our lives. And with Bill, I knew in real time what a difference maker he was, and love the guy, love his family. The guy changed the world, and he certainly changed my life.